Welcome to Hollywood Mix, the safe space where we turn our pain into power. I'm your host, Shan, and I know firsthand that surviving domestic violence is only the beginning of the story. Here we share unfiltered truths, navigate the complex journey of healing, and remind you that you are never alone. Before we begin, please note that this episode discusses sensitive topics that may be triggering. If you or someone you know is in crisis, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. Let's dive in. Today is going to be episode 3 of the Speak About It series, and it's going to be a victim doing the interview. And, we all know domestic violence is a common problem, whether it's a man putting his hands on a woman putting her hands on a man, in anything. But how do we actually resolve it? How do we fix things like that? What can we do to prevent it, per se. But again, welcome to Hollywood Mix with Shan B. I'm Shan B. And today I'm going to give you my first-hand encounter as being a domestic violence survivor. And I'm just going to answer, some Q&A myself about my experience. I went through the experience I went through. It was more than one occasion by the same person, but the worst one happened in 2004. So the first question I was asked was, how did the relationship begin, and when did I first notice the behavior starting to change? I can't really recall exactly when I noticed them changing. I think it was the more serious we got, the more possessive he got. I was very independent when I was able to be. I was a little insecure, and I kind of think, that he played on that a little bit. But I can't really recall when I noticed the behaviors. I would say when he was drunk or high. But he did that, through our whole relationship, which was almost 4 years. I was with him from the time I was 19 up until 23. At the end of my year 19, beginning of 23. 23 years old. The next question I was asked was, in what subtle ways did my partner at the time slowly start to lower my self-esteem or isolate me from others? He never really tried to lower my self-esteem, but I would say, try to isolate me from others by, accusing me of things all the time if I wasn't around him. I was always accused of something, talking to somebody, being with somebody, fucking somebody, always accused of doing something. And this goes for even when I was around my family, because he didn't have eyes on me at all times. I know one night before we ever moved in together, he had walked all the way to my house from where he lived. He lived with his dad and I lived with my parents. And he actually lifted up my window and pulled the pillow from underneath my head from outside because he thought I had somebody in my room. So yeah, he would isolate me, especially when we moved in with each other. It was more so, the accusing got way worse. So I guess you could say that's really isolating. But he never put me down, so I can't say he lowered my self-esteem at all. The next question I was asked was, how did I normalize the controlling behaviors or make excuses for them at the time? I would always say, he didn't mean it like that. He didn't mean it. It's not him. I would always make excuse of he was drunk or he was high. He was just in a bad mood. And it was always something I always tried to downplay whatever he did, even when he would talk to me crazy. Yeah, so never make excuses for anybody that hurts you, whether it's mentally or physically. Don't make excuses, because domestic violence is never okay. I cannot say that enough. At the end of this video, I am going to put up a domestic violence hotline number. I put it on one of my other videos, so if you ever need help, it will be there. Please call, reach out to somebody or anything. Don't put up with it. Again, whether you're a man or a woman, this video is not for just women. Men can be hurt too. And, you know, they go through things like men shouldn't hit women, men shouldn't hit women. I have always told male relatives and even my male friends, don't never just hit a woman. If a woman is trying to physically attack you and cause you bodily harm, you have every right to defend yourself. I am a firm believer in that. That to me is not domestic violence on his end. It would be on her end, if you get what I'm saying. Can I explain to you, the listeners, what coercive control looks like behind closed doors? I don't know what they mean by that, honestly, because I don't know what the word coercive means. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, so using force to persuade people to do things that they're unwilling to do. I really can't explain to y'all what that would look like, because I think it was more of a mental thing, if that's what it was that he was doing, having coercive control. He would just try to like make me feel bad by saying things or doing things. If he would go out, he would expect for me to stay home, and I did. I definitely did. As question, what was the specific turning point, the moment that made me realize I had to leave? Before this biggest incident, I had wanted to leave before that, but I thought I was so in love with him because he was exactly my type. He was, at the time, I thought, home all the time when I'd be at work. He so-called protected me. His family knew me. They loved me. And it was like there were so many different times I wanted to leave, but I was scared that I wouldn't find nobody to love me as much as I thought he did. So I can't. But then again, if you want to know the biggest moment that I had to leave, it was the worst time he ever put his hands on me. And that's when October 24th, 2004. And it was the day after his birthday and the day before my dad's birthday. And he had been drunk. He had been high off of marijuana. And he had even did coke. Which I didn't know he was doing coke. I knew he smoked and he drank like crazy. I was so used to that with him. I was so used to drinking because of my dad. Every time he got really drunk, he would just start snapping out of nowhere. But this particular day, it started off with something so simple. One of his friends had come over, I guess, to celebrate with him for his birthday being the day before. And I took his friend home. He was in the car, you know, he was in the passenger seat. His friend was in the back seat. He accused me of looking at his friend in the rearview mirror. We took his friend home, and when we got back to our apartment, it was ball game. I got hit. I got punched so bad. The blood vessels and both of the white parts of my eyes were bloody red. I had really long hair to my butt then. He stripped my clothes off of me. And he swung me over the couch, and from my hair being so long, the blood that had got in my hair got on the ceiling. There was drops of blood on the ceiling. Again, he punched me in the eye. The blood was dripping down my face. And we were just sitting there fighting. It was like I couldn't really fight back. I had, back then, we used to collect liquor bottles. So I had put we used to have a little, window thingy looking from our kitchen to our living room. And at one point in time, we had the liquor bottles there, just like as decoration. So then we put them under the sink. And I couldn't get to the liquor bottles. I thought about it because I could have cracked there one of them bitches over his head to get him off of me. Like, he was just hitting me like, and mind you, I'm 5'3.5", and at the time I was probably about 130 pounds, and he was, I'd say, about 6 foot, and I don't know how much you could say he weighed. He wasn't a big dude, but he wasn't real small either. Anyways, but he was strong. So yeah, when he did all that, and then, I guess the neighbors downstairs heard us yelling and fighting and stuff, and they called the police. The police came to the door. We had the music up really loud, and when we heard them knocking, we turned it down. He thought I'd call the police, so he hit me a few more times. Then he tried to help me clean up because of the police. Like, it was just really bad. There's more to that part that I'll tell you, after these questions. But yeah, that was really my moment of leaving, because I could have died. I had to see my parents while I was laying in a hospital bed, unrecognizable. Yeah, it was really bad. What were the biggest obstacles of fears that I had to overcome to escape the relationship? It's going to sound really stupid. Really, really stupid. But the biggest obstacle, because after all of that, he did about 9 months total for what he did to me. And I took him back. Yeah, I took him back. The biggest obstacle was he told me a year after I took him back and he came home that he had a baby on the way. And that broke my heart more than the physical abuse. That shattered me. So I would say the biggest obstacle was because he wanted to stay together and try to work it out. And I went back and forth mentally. And I finally decided that was enough. I had to leave. Because I didn't want to try to work things out with him. And when their baby got here, I knew I wouldn't physically harm the baby, because that's not even in my DNA. That's not, that's not in me. That's not in my heart. I could never. But like, I didn't want to, not have nothing. I didn't want to be that person. So I decided to leave because the biggest obstacle was getting over that. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but you're welcome to ask questions. Society often asks, why didn't they just leave? How would you reframe that question or answer it for someone who doesn't understand the dynamics of abuse? It's trauma bond. You're going through all this trauma. And when you go through all this trauma, it's like you mentally have this thing against this person that's causing you all this harm, that you feel like they're only doing it because they love me. They really do care about me. They don't mean it. They were drunk. They were high. They were this. They were that. You make all excuses for them so you can stay with them. Trauma bond. You feel like you belong with them. You feel like they're the only ones that love you. The only ones that will accept you. If they didn't love you, they wouldn't do all that. That's the kind of different thing is you could say you should never come down on a domestic violence person and say, well, why didn't you leave? You should have just left. It is a true fact when you say it's easier said than done. You got to be mentally able, not just physically, but mentally able to leave. Like, I said, the fact that I had to see my mom and dad while I'm laying in the hospital, the chaplain met my mom at the door. Put it this way, I was so bad off that Norfolk PD kicked my door in because they thought I was dead. They had 2 canines come in my apartment. The cop had to tell my mom, because I couldn't talk when I called her on the phone, what was going on. I was in the hospital on my dad's birthday. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a trauma bond. You should never question a domestic violence person, survivor, or something like that. Why didn't you leave? Like, that is really like a triggering question for us. What gave me the courage or the push to finally make my exit? I basically just told y'all that. The challenging part of the healing process once I was physically separated from that person, the healing was a major physical thing, because again, I had scars on my face. I still got scars. You can only see them when they pop up, except my lip. I have physical scars. I had nightmares for the longest time. I cried on the anniversary of it because this was somebody that I truly was in love with. And the healing, once the physical healing was done, I still saw him a few times after that. Not as in being a couple, but I saw him. When I finally kicked him out of my apartment, though, his fish died when he gave me permission to move his tank and he was moving out. He thought I killed his fish, so then he killed my fish and destroyed my apartment. So I had to heal from that, seeing what he did to all my belongings, what he did to me physically. Mentally, I think the mental issue was worse for me than the physical issue. And yeah, I'll never let another man put their hands on me. Trust that. Trust and believe that. Again, I can't say it enough. Domestic violence is not okay. What is one misconception about domestic violence or abusive relationships that I wish more people understood? Again, that it's easier said than done to leave someone. You got to be mentally, physically capable together to do it. Because that trauma bond is not a joke at all, period. For listeners who might be in a similar situation, what was a turning point that helped me recognize the dynamic was unhealthy? I knew it all along. I knew it was unhealthy. I knew it, but I fought for it. I put up with it over and over again. I took the beatings. I took the physical heartache. I took the mental heartache, because I was called all types of bitches and everything too. There was so many different things he did to me. And my mom and dad didn't know all he did to me until, way years down the road. But they know now. Well, my mom does. I don't know about my dad. But once you're mentally, it says, what was the turning point? Once you're mentally, I'm trying to figure out how to word what I'm trying to say, right? So that's why I keep stopping. But it asked what was the turning point that helped me recognize it. If you know it, if you recognize it, and you feel like you are mentally strong enough to go, tell somebody, have help. There's always somebody out there that will help you, whether it's a hotline, a family member, a friend. Tell somebody. If you need help and you are physically, mentally strong enough, even if you're not mentally, physically strong enough, tell somebody as soon as you can, because they can help you take the proper steps to get out of there safely. People say if they did it once, they'll do it again. In his case, yeah, he did. after the worst incident and I took him back. No, he didn't. But he physically, I meant mentally hurt me. You get what I'm saying? So, in a sense he did, but in a sense he didn't. So, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. I mean, I don't know what it was. His parents said he was never that type of person to do stuff like that, which I didn't think he was either, but he did it to me. Why? I don't know. I don't feel like I'm a bad person. Do I got a mouth on me? Yeah, damn right I do. And I'm gonna always be that way. And I was 19 to 24 then. I'm 45 now, and I'm still the same way with the same damn mouth. I will always be that way. But yeah, once you're ready to tell somebody, you need to tell somebody as soon as possible so you can get help, so you're not alone in the situation. Because it can only get worse. If it wasn't for the Norfolk Police Department, I might not be here talking to you guys today. So yeah. How would you describe the difference between what society thinks an abusive relationship looks like and what the reality actually was for me? Honestly, I would say for me it was exactly like society thinks it is. You're getting beat on, you're getting talked to like you ain't shit, you're getting called all types of names. You're mentally fucked up. You feel alone. Even if you got a surrounding group of friends and family, you still mentally feel alone and drained. You're physically hurt. You gotta constantly, cover shit up. Me, until that last incident, he never hurt my face. So I didn't have to cover nothing like that up. It wasn't always hitting me. Well, I mean, either way, it was physical abuse, so I can't even say hitting, smack, push, all of that. If it physically hurts you, it's physical abuse. So for me, yes, I think it was exactly how society looks at it, or thinks it is. What sources, individuals, or support systems were the most instrumental in my recovery? My mother. My mother was my number one support system. I did not press charges. I was going to, but I don't have the heart to put somebody in jail, even though it was done to me. He could have done 20 years. He didn't. He did 9 months. Technically, all of that wasn't even for what he did to me. And the only reason he did the time he did was because the district attorney, Virginia, see, we're from Virginia. Virginia is a Commonwealth state. So the state picked up his charges, and that's all they could get him for. But the judge even told him if I would have pressed charges, he could have got up to 20 years. But resources, they gave me, victims advocate numbers and stuff like that. I didn't do none of that. I just surrounded myself with my family and my friends. But my mother and my dad, again, my dad's gone, but they were my support, my major support for the healing. Looking back, what is a boundary you've had to learn to set to protect your peace and well-being? My number one boundary now, and it might not be right, but it's straightforward and blunt, is I will never let another motherfucker put their hands on me. And if they do, we're going to 2 places. I'm going to jail, and they're either going to jail, the grave, or the hospital. Because it won't happen again. It definitely won't happen again. I will never in my life allow it. What does thriving look like for me today, and how have I reclaimed my own story? My own story, I would say, basically, I'm completely disabled, so I can't do a whole lot no more. I will say that through the incident that happened with me and my ex, the last one, I had a low-grade gum infection that caused my teeth to start decaying. So my teeth were messed up for a long time because of that. I got them pulled, got got everything fixed. But yeah, that's why you got, it's never okay. It's not. If a listener suspects a friend or family member is experiencing domestic violence, what is the best way for them to offer support without being pushy? Ask them. Ask them in confidence or in private. If they want to talk about it, they'll talk to you. If they don't want to talk about it, do not push them to talk, but make sure they know that you're there. They're not alone. And whenever they're ready to talk, please come to you. You can give them, whatever domestic violence numbers and things like that you have in case they do want to talk. They just don't want to talk to somebody they know. Because some people are like that. They would rather talk to a stranger because honestly, sometimes it's easier talking to a stranger. So yeah, keep things like that. If you could change one thing about how legal, medical, or community system handles domestic violence, what would it be? When it's first, I can't really say this for me because the cops only had the worst incident on record with us. I never called the police on him. Never. But if I could change one thing, I would think how can I put it? If they're not going to bring charges up against someone right away, and all they could offer is like a restraining order, I think there needs to be stricter things put in place for them restraining orders. Not just, okay, call us if he comes around. It's got to be something more like devices, provide alarms, lock him up until court, or her. I don't want to just put this on men. It's got them restraining orders. They got to figure something out that has them more grounded, more in place, making people feel safe. Because I agree, every time somebody is like a restraining order, like, what am I going to do with it? Ball it up and throw it at them? Because honestly, a restraining order ain't shit. Because people that have nothing to lose don't care about a damn restraining order. So yeah, they need to figure out another form of protection for domestic violence people. What is the most important message you want to leave with anyone who's currently surviving an abusive relationship? It is not okay. You have got to take care of you, for you. Abusing you, whether it's physically or mentally, that's not love. Calling you names, that's not love. Look in the mirror. If you have any physical marks that was put on you by somebody you thought loved you, that's not love. Domestic violence is never fucking okay. You are never alone. There's always somebody out there to talk to you. There's somebody out there to be around you. There's somebody out there to protect you. And don't deal with it. And when you're ready, you should definitely talk to somebody, whether it's a stranger, a family, a friend, a platform like this. I definitely don't mind being messaged if somebody needs to talk. I'm all for it. My mother went through it. I went through it. My biggest message is domestic violence is never okay. I cannot repeat that enough. Please don't think you're alone. Please don't think that. Don't keep taking it. Put yourself above the other person. Again, this is for men and women. Put yourself before them. You cannot take care of nobody else if you can't take care of yourself. And if you can't physically do nothing for yourself, then you can't physically take care of yourself. Love yourself. You're supposed to love yourself more than anybody loves you. What do I want people to know about domestic violence they might not learn from the media or stereotypes? And not enough people are held accountable for their actions. Too many people get away. I actually consider myself one of the lucky ones because I made it out. Even if I was physically hurt, I still made it out. I'm still here to breathe. Thank you to Norfolk PD. People might want to hear that, they might not, because there are so many crooked people, crooked cops. I mean, but honestly, Norfolk, Virginia Police Department saved my life. And for that, I have some respect for them. There are crooked cops, but they're good cops too. They have a job to do. The crooked ones just need to get weaned out. That's my dog y'all hear shaking. But yeah, it needs to be, what advice or words of encouragement would I offer to help someone? We just covered that. How can friends, family, or coworkers better support someone who is experiencing an intimate partner violence? If they don't want to talk, again, don't push them. Just make sure they know they're loved, they're not alone, and when they're ready to talk, somebody's there. Make sure you have contact information for hotlines, victim advocacy, all kinds of things like that. Whether they want it then, just have it and put it up. So that's basically that's basically it for the Q&A. And yeah, like I said, I've been through a whole bunch of incidents with this one person. I was slammed down in a pile of paint. I was pulled off a brick porch. All of my windows were kicked out of my car. The incident I told y'all about, I've had my head slammed into the side of my car while I was driving. This is all about the same person. And that's not even in the details of the incident. That's just, a little bit of it. But listen, ladies, gentlemen, please don't put up with it. Please. I've seen and heard of too many people losing their lives to this. And that's not the way for anybody to live. But say that to yourself. Look in the mirror if you got to. If you, again, whether you got physical marks or not, look in the mirror and tell yourself domestic violence is never okay. I am not alone. I am loved. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of happiness. There's someone out there for me. If not, it's okay to be single. It's definitely okay to be single. I'm single and loving it. And I used to be one of them people that would jump relationship to relationship to relationship without really taking a breath. And I'm so happy being single. But don't put your heart through that. Don't put yourself through that physically, mentally. When you hurt, your family hurts. When you hurt, your friends hurt. And yeah, it's definitely not. Domestic violence is no type of love. No type of love. Don't let nobody, another thing, don't ever let nobody make you feel bad if you did not leave right away. Those of us that are also domestic violence survivors or are even still going through it maybe, we get it. We understand. But talk to somebody as soon as you're able to and ready. You're not alone. I promise you that. I'm going to put up some information I could find at the end of this video. This was actually a random time to do it. I didn't even have it planned to do it. I was going back and forth. Did I want somebody else to ask me these questions, or did I just want to do my one-person Q&A? And I think it was a lot easier for me to do it this way because I get nervous, like kind of when I am interviewed. Maybe not when I interview somebody, but when I am interviewed. So I'd rather just do, the one-person Q&A. But this is a topic that was very, very, used to be hard for me because I went through so much. But I hope I got through to somebody. If I could even help one person out by my message, by my video, that will be an absolute blessing. Pray on it to whoever you pray. If you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. My messages are always open. And yeah, don't put up with it because you're better than that. Alright? Until the next time, this wraps up the Speak About It, episode 3 with Hollywood Mixed with Shan B. I'm your girl Shan B, and I'll talk to y'all later. Be safe, and I love you. Bye.